The next one is from my good friend Yuha Yulin, who has sent me quite a few things as subscriber mail, which I really appreciate. Nice drumming, John. Thank you very much. Question 1. Fritz Lang or Alfred Hitchcock? I'm going to have to say, with me heart, Fritz Lang. I can get more out of a Fritz Lang movie, even though it's 90% of it's silent, than I can with Alfred Hitchcock. I do find Alfred Hitchcock to be brilliant, but once you've seen on some of his films, once you've seen the once, then that's all right. Then you could probably see it once again with someone who hasn't seen it. But rewatchability, I don't really watch Alfred Hitchcock that much rewatching, but I do watch Fritz Lang. I have to put my teeth in by this one. Quite a lot, actually. I do go back to his films a lot. So thanks very much for that one. But that's a tough one, but I would say Fritz Lang. Question 2. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Now, I'm very happy where I live. I've got to admit, it's the best place I've lived. I've lived in Whitley Bay most of my life, with a few exceptions, just going here and there. But it was always the view to get back to Whitley Bay. But if I had the chance to have another house, apart from Whitley Bay, it would be in America. It would be in America somewhere. I don't know where it would be. I would like to live somewhere where I don't think I would get killed or shot or mugged or anything like that. I don't think there's loads of places in America that do that, but I wouldn't want to be in a place that was a bit high risk. I would like to live in somewhere like somewhere sunny, obviously, and it would have to be somewhere that was near a beach, because I've got a beach down there, and I love having a beach in reach. A beach in reach. There's a song for you. And it would have to be America, because I just like American life. I like watching American. I like when I'm out and about, and if I ever bump into Americans, my wife always says to us, "You're gonna." I can't. I'm always fascinated by America. I love accents anyway. I always try to do loads of accents. I can do quite a lot of accents, but I won't do any at the moment. And I do think that American life in general is just fascinating to me, and I would love to go there and just have just try all the culture things that they have, and just see what it's like in the flesh. So America, but I'm not too sure what part. I do like the thought of like Manhattan and New York I'd like to go to, but I don't know if I'd like to live there, if you know what I mean. I think it would have to be somewhere a bit more rural, if that's a thing. But America, I would say. But I'm very happy where I live, actually. The next question is from Andrew Ballina. Now, Andrew Ballina's got a great channel. He's from Australia, and he's got some great stuff on his channel. I'll leave a link down to his down below. Got a punk vibe from the drumming. Yes, I'm a big fan of punk music. I think if I had to have one genre that I liked out of everything, it would be punk. You're amazing on the drums. Well, thanks very much. That wasn't really, to me, like a hard drum beat. It was a kind of a normal type drum beat. I might put some more videos out where I do harder drum beats. The hardest ones I think I do, to try and do, is ones that are like complicated and repetitive. It's easy to trip yourself up on the drums. And also, if you think about it, I'm listening to a click track when I'm playing along. So you've got to listen to your click track as well as you're playing. When you play live, it's like a different ball game. I love to play live. So thanks very much for that. Here's a few questions. 1. How long have you been collecting movies? I've been collecting movies since late 1985. The first movie I ever bought physically to own was The Elephant Man on VHS. Still got it. It's still playable. I love it. And so I've literally collected movies in, say maybe I would collect quite a lot at the start and maybe not tail off, but like break off for other things. Because don't forget, back in the day I was always collecting vinyl as well, so I was probably collecting vinyl more, so maybe it was a bit slow starting off, and I'd make sure it was quite expensive as well. The Elephant Man was £30, and that was in 1985, and the shop I bought it from online is still going, Adrian's Music, so there you go. But 1985 was when I first started, in dribs and drabs, and then it kind of got built up in speed, and then obviously when you move into a house you sort of come back a little bit. So as everyone's got that sort of problem in a way, you can't just spend as much as you want all the time. But at the moment I seem that I'm in a good place, and I get the things I want to get. I don't go and buy. I find now from buying things, for years and years and years, I'm a bit more choosy with what I buy. I don't buy everything that I can. I buy the things that I think I'm going to get like a bit of use out of, rather than just storing on the shelves. I prefer to have things that I can always navigate to, instead of just having huge bits where you think, well, I've got a big chunk there which I don't really like in essence, but I'm getting them for completion's sake, which sometimes I'm into that and sometimes I'm not. Excuse me. What are your top 5 horror movies? Now, this is a funny question because I was thinking about to do a video on this, and I was struggling because I was thinking that when I come to write them out, I don't really know. It's a hard one to write out. I was trying to write a top 10 list out and I was struggling, if I'm honest. But I did write on here on my phone, if I can find it, I did write a list of ones that I thought I was going to put into my top 10, ones that could, there it is there. And I wrote that on, started writing that on the 9th of September, actually. So the ones that I'm going to come off here, just to say, I'm not going to say a top 5, but I'm going to say, well, actually, I'm going to go through here and I'm going to see if I can get a top 5. Number 1 at the moment is, because these change quite a lot, actually, is Zombie Flesh Eaters. That's my favourite horror movie at the moment. And it's been my favourite horror movie for quite a bit, actually. Other ones in here are American Werewolf in London, which I love. Jaws, which I do consider a horror film. You know, it did terrify me. Friday the 13th. Now, not Friday the 13th, the first one. I'm trying to think which was my favourite Friday the 13th film, because I'm a big fan of this franchise. And I'm going to have to say one that I had the best time with at the cinema, and it was Friday the 13th Part 3. I saw it in 3D. It was unreal. Loved everything about it. And even though it's, on reflection, it's not a super great film, I just like Friday the 13th Part 3 because it's just got so much nostalgia for us. So that's Zombie Flesh Eaters, American Werewolf, Jaws, Friday the 13th Part 3. And I'm going to say as well, because it's my favourite giallo of all time, is Deep Red, Dario Argento, 1975. So there you go. That's 2 films from 1975, Jaws and Deep Red. So, great question though. What's one movie you'd like to see get a Blu-ray release? Well, there's a movie that I picked up recently called Bullshot, which is so hard to get, it's unreal, but I got it on DVD, and it does need a Blu-ray update. It's not a one that is gets everybody's attention, but it's a one that I would like to see released as a Blu-ray. That's a good question. I would have to say, you see, there's when you if I stop this video, I would think of a million of them, but when I'm on the spot, I'm gonna have to say that Bullshot, definitely, even though it's just a regular, you know, sort of just a horror, it's a comedy film that nobody knows, but I'm trying to think of like a horror film that needs a good one. And it's just on see, there's a few that have just come out recently that I really wanted to see, and like the Legends of the Seven Golden Vampires, that's just come out. The Fearless Vampire Killers, that's just come out. So these films are always ones that I've like wanted forever, and then they've just come out very recently. But I'm going to have to say at this point Bullshot, because it just needs it needs some kind of love, because even the DVD's not that great quality. It's all right, but there you go. Bullshot, 1983. And 4, what's your favourite heavy metal band? My favourite heavy metal band. Now I'm going to say in heavy metal, because I love thrash metal. Thrash metal is my favourite genre. Bands like Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica. Not a big fan of Megadeth. I appreciate what they like, but I just can't get over the singer's voice. It just annoys us. But for heavy metal, I'm going to put in my estimation, I don't really like too much heavy metal, if you know what I mean. That's a bit of a strange one. I do appreciate some of the bands, but for playing up heavy metal, I'm going to say Wasp. I think they're more like shock metal, and they're not everybody's cup of tea. But I do like them, especially the early way that they were, like the horror element that they had, what the tricks they were getting up to, what the songs were about. they were sort of like the sort of video nasty of heavy metal music, even though a lot of heavy metal people don't associate Wasp with heavy metal. They're a bit more like a sort of a worse Alice Cooper, if that's the way I can put it. But yes, Wasp, I would say, for heavy metal band. Great question, thanks very much. And I'm leaving the link down to your channel just down below. So the next one is from, and I'm going to see if I can get this this fella's name here, because sometimes when you're on here, Richard Cranium, great name. As a collector, do take preference over a UK release or USA release, i.e. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Scream Factory or Arrow Video, Crocodile 1 and 2, 88 Films or Severin? That's a really good question, actually, because sometimes, I'll use the Toolbox Murders for a case, and also Torso. Toolbox Murders is, 88 Films do a good version of it, but the picture quality, because I like obviously you see a film, you want to see it in the best picture quality. The best picture quality for Toolbox Murders is the Blue Underground one. It's got a really lovely print on it, dead vibrant, hasn't got much dirt on it, yet 88 Films does. So I always feel that usually the USA release of a film does look that little bit better in most cases. So like for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, I did buy the big box set. I do prefer, if I can, to get one that's like similar, it's going to be in similar quality, or like a bit more of a special edition. I'll probably go for the UK special edition over the Scream Factory is just like a standard release. Although maybe the picture quality on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on Scream Factory is going to be a little bit better. But I don't know if it's see the I've kept the both ones because I do collect the slasher films up there. But what is it? Toolbox Murders I do keep as well. I would have got rid of the Toolbox Murders if the quality had been exactly the same. Funny enough, Street Trash on Scream Factory looks beautiful, and yet 88 Films released it and it just didn't look as good. So I had it and I just sold it immediately because I thought I don't need two versions of it. The Show Factory one, the Scream Factory one is much better. So that, yes, I do. And the Crocodile 1 and 2 is in there. It's a good quality. It's there. It is actually, and it's in part of that line. So I don't feel like I need to go and buy the American one because that'd be double dipping. But probably, if I like the film enough, I would say, well, I'll go and buy the American one as well. Although, if it wasn't in that set, I might have done a look around. But a lot of films like Crocodile Killer 1 and 2, I would have never ever known about it if it hadn't been in that set, so I might have even looked for it. So sometimes these lines give you films that you haven't seen, things like that. And I did really enjoy them too, I've got to admit. For me, there is always an allure to want the US release, even if my wallet says FFS. I know what you mean. I found recently though, I've got some US releases and they've been quite cheap in essence. I do think that as people like ourselves who are into boutique labels, we do get hit in the pocket, big style. I don't see anybody excuse me, I've been talking for about 6 hours. I don't think of anybody that gets your latest Hollywood blockbuster to a certain extent would say, oh, well, I'll just go and pay £70 for that or £80 for it, like we would. But yeah, I know what you mean. I will say, if I wanted a film just off the top of my head and I thought I must get this film, I will research and see what's the best one. And if the best one is the US one, then I will get it. And say if the UK come out with one and it was in this line, I'll get that one as well, but only in that case. I don't really like to double dip if I can, but I know what you're saying about this whole the USA. For me, honestly, if I'm honest, The USA ones are usually, picture quality are usually better. But good question, actually. Next one is from John Davidson, who's a subscriber of mine. He's been a subscriber of mine for quite a while. Another nice vid, John. Thanks very much. Also, great drumming too. Thanks a lot. I'd like to ask you, with all, in capital, the titles you have in your collection, what is perhaps your favourite piece or pieces in your collection? Stay safe, my friend, and you too, John. I would say, I think I mentioned this at the moment, my favourite thing or things is the Criterion Godzilla box set, and also the Dawn of the Dead box set. Those two things are brilliant. There's a few other things that are down there which I would say I do like. The Buster Keaton stuff, and I do like another one that's really jumps out at us is the Mothra box set as well. It's a lovely addition. I would have loved to have got my hands on the Gamera one. If I got the Gamera one, that might have been my best ever. In fact, I know it would have been the best ever thing I've got there. But I will say at this moment, the Godzilla Criterion set, which is amazing, which is obviously in the cupboard where, because it can't be put in the shelves, and Dawn of the Dead, which is just probably the best, one of the best UK. That's probably the best UK thing I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely brilliant. So I've got another question from Richard Cranium. Second question, bear with me, no problem. There are some collectors on YouTube who will buy and show off every edition of movies by a certain company, regardless if they already own a decent enough edition of that said movie. Like they will seek out the Arrowdrome DVD release and then buy Arrow Video DVD, Slipbox, Blu-ray Slipbox, Amaray Blu-ray Steelbook and Arrow Limited Edition. Yep. And they will buy them for multiple movies. Horror Man fan out. Shout out to Grant. Love his contest. I'm sure I've subscribed to Horror Fan Man. Does, and I know people collect for different reasons and they collect for their own satisfaction. But come on, it's just a waste of money to me. Your thoughts? Well, to be honest, way back in the day when I started collecting films, and I got Elephant Man, and then it got topped by a DVD, and then there's a DVD special edition, then there was a Blu-ray, now there's a 4K. First of all, this didn't happen too often. It did happen, but not too often, so I used to think I would collect them all and have the whole lot. And then, obviously due to space issues, I used to think, I don't think I'll go down that route too often, because I have got a few films. Clockwork Orange springs to mind. I've got loads of copies of that. I don't need them. I only really need the Blu-ray. But if a 4K comes out, all the other ones are quite not worth having, but not needed. And I haven't paid a massive amount for the Clockwork Orange 4K, the movies to this point, but if you go back to the original thing that you said about the Arrow stuff, and if you wanted to get every single version of every single release to every single Arrow, I love looking at them. And if I had something that was like, if I had a bottomless pit of money, and if I had a house which would have every wall like this, possibly yes. But due to money restraints, obviously everyone's got a budget, and due to space issues, I do think, now, I'm going to say, yes, it could be construed as a waste of money, yes. But if the collector likes that particular type of thing, to want to own everything on that genre, or that particular label, or that, I know Daisuke Beppu has got every single Criterion release, which is brilliant. And this is even DVDs, not just one film. You buy all versions of one film, so he's got everything by them, which is a brilliant thing to have, and that's his passion. For me, I haven't got the space for that. I know Daisuke hasn't really got all that much space, but he does make space for these things. So I think it's a bit of a up to the collector. If they wanted to go down that route and do that, that's fair enough. But personally speaking, I wouldn't do that, because I like to have, obviously, well, not more and more titles. I like to get ones that I'm going to keep, and I like ones that are going to stay in the collection forever. And I think that there's a very few. There used to be a load of double dips in my collection. Used to have loads of double dips. Now they don't have that many, so that speaks for the fact of me thinking, I don't think if it's the collector wants it. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I would want to spend my money in other ways. But I think that this, if somebody wants to do that, that's their prerogative. But it's a funny one. I think it's a personal choice. Again, if you wanted to do that, that's great. I know people who do that. But I personally can't afford to do that. I think it's money first for that. I think, well, I like to spend money on something. I don't mind spending money. I just don't want to think, well, I've got 10 versions of the same film, and for that I've got to had 20 versions of other films. But great question, actually. So thanks very much for that, Richard. Okay, so the last question on here. This has been great, man. I'll tell you what, it's attacked me grey matter, what little I've got of it, and I really appreciate everybody who's took the time out to put some questions on here. I know this is probably, I did intend to do this on one video, but it could have never, the length of time that these videos have taken, and I've been up here for hours doing it. In fact, I've been here 2 hours doing it, but I've enjoyed it. I'm going to break them all up into little pieces, but excellent. But I think these comments have been really good and really got me thinking about other things as well. So the last one in here is from Topalongo, who's been a subscriber of mine for a long time. Very cool man. Very cool man. So the last one in here is from Topalongo, and who's been a subscriber of mine for quite a while. And he says, very cool man. Very cool man. Right. So the last question on here, and thanks very much for these questions, it comes from a subscriber of mine called Topalongo, who's been here on my channel for a long time, Felix. And he says, very cool man. Gives me a sort of the Cramps vibe, which is a compliment from my side. I love the Cramps, really like the Cramps. And yes, actually, I know what you're saying, although I think, to me, it comes across a bit like more like a Nirvana song. But there's quite a few songs in my, if you listen to my albums, they're not there all the time, but every now and again you'll hear a big Cramps type song. What was it called? There was one I was listening to the other day, which is like a massive Cramps type song. Can't remember what it's called now, but it's Mud Stomp. It's called. Well, obviously the Cramps got a Cramp Stomp. This is called Mud Stomp, and it's quite close to the Cramps. But I love the Cramps. Absolutely amazing. Or even the Fall. If the vocals were way more mumbled, lol. Well, I'm a big fan of the Fall. And I do think that Mark E. Smith, rest in peace, is one of the best ever songwriters going for lyrics. His lyrics are just, you can't touch them. And yes, he does mumble quite a bit, and he's got that whole thing that's called a schwa, when he says things on the end da of the song za. And I do think that's it. I'd love to sort of do something like that on my songs, but it would sound a bit too much of a blatant rip-off. But yeah, the mumble track could come across a little bit like that, you're right. And the mumble track's been there for years. My friend I've still got to write some lyrics to it. Still got to get my friend Wolfie to come and sing on the top of that. Maybe one day he will, because he's just lives around the corner on the time when people can come to your house. And then he can lay that down. I can put this on here. I will put more music on here, that's for sure. But I'm really pleased by everybody has said very positive things about that song. It's one of my favourite songs from a long time ago, actually. And funny enough, I was thinking the other day, can I even remember how to play it? And I think I'll have to have a good think about that, because usually when I write a song I forget about it and move on. There's very few that I do play from old songs, but I think I could probably play that one. I can also hear a couple of spots where a nice lead would fit perfectly. Well, I do. I can not play. I can't play lead guitar. I can't play it well, but I can sort of cheat and put this sort of like a bit of a lead break in there. But I know what you're saying. My friend Wolfie, he plays lead guitar, so he can put a lead. He's done lead on my songs before, and he puts them in really well. And also, I can, like I say, I can do a version of a lead guitar. I do play lead guitar on some songs, but there's more ones that sound bad than sound good, if that's a thing. Good stuff, man. All positive. Peace, Felix. Thanks very much for that, and thanks very much to everybody who got in touch with me. That's been a great look through them questions. Really, really enjoyed it. And also, like I say, I've mentioned in another video, if anybody wants, say for instance, I put author on there. Say if anybody wants the track author, the full version without the mumble track, actually, or you could have you have two versions, you have the mumble track and without the mumble track. I've got them both somewhere. I can send them to you via email. I don't mind. I like to think that people are hearing these songs. If I've got 30 albums worth of stuff that nobody's heard, I don't mind, because I listen to them in the car every now and again. I go back to an old album. I've been listening to this 2011 album. I've been going through the whole lot actually, and I'm up there from 2011, and then I'll just be going through them. And sometimes you get a bit of a song which pops out, and you think that there was one I listened to in the car yesterday, and I thought, I can't remember playing it, but I thought that sounds really, really good, and we one that I'd like to go back and revisit. Will I ever be able to remember how to play it? That's the other thing. But I will put more music on for definite. I've got some music videos that I've recorded and put on another channel on YouTube years and years ago, which I would try and see if I can get the raw materials from that and put them onto this channel and just say, look, this is the music video of Mondo Celovec, see what you think. So yeah, and also I want to see if I can do some more drumming videos, which will be a drumming, maybe a little bit of an explanation on how to play the drums, if anybody wants to know how to do that. It'll be very much like a beginner thing, and but it goes out to the general public, and when the general public see it and they say you are atrocious, and I'm saying, well, I'm just playing the basic beat for somebody who knows how to play a bass. You do get a lot of people, especially in music things, which will say you shouldn't do that drum beat, you've missed that, quadruple it out, all this type of thing. You get loads and loads of that going on, but that's just the pitfalls of that. But anyway, thanks very much for this. I do really appreciate anybody who's done this, and it's been a great video to do, very fascinating and very enjoyable. So you take care, and I will see you on the next video.